My next guest out there, Tony from Marken. He's the CEO of Vox Telecom. Before I chat with Tony, share price been between 28 and 74 cents in the last year. Market cap just north of 350 million, and share price 31.32 when I left the office earlier. Price earnings 5.6, not a dividend payer, and that's frankly to be expected in the space they're operating in. They're growing, they're spending the money. We're talking numbers, we're talking business. Tony, evening. Thanks very much for joining us.
Good evening, Simon. Thanks for having me on the show.
Talk numbers a little bit first, and we're talking again to the 6 months to end February 2010. The numbers, I mean, looking at them, a tough time, but my sense is that what we're seeing is deflation in the industry coupled with growth kind of taking us sideways. Deflation in terms of pricing.
Yes, absolutely, Simon. I mean, our industry has been characterized by deflationary pricing for quite a long time, particularly in the data business. Mm-hmm. And now we're seeing in the voice business with a drop in interconnect rates, you're going to see the entire food chain in the telco business affected with lower voice prices. So I think we're all going to deal with the same issue.
And I want to come to interconnect in a moment. You mentioned, I mean, certainly we've seen it in data. My ADSL at home, my data on my mobile phone, prices have been plummeting, to say the least. This trend is going to continue. This hasn't ended. We've still got space to come down?
Well, I think it depends which segments you're looking at. Certainly in the ADSL space, I really don't think there's any more room to maneuver. Mm-hmm. And I think, it's probably not a sustainable process because you've got to allow all the companies who participate to continue to invest in their networks, etc. Certainly broadband pricing, has come down. Ccom's had a positive impact. Mm-hmm. I think the voice market definitely has room for better pricing. We all know that. And, I think that's where, we have a major focus to offer more competitive pricing, particularly in the fixed line business against Telkom.
Yeah, and that's least cost reaching Crystal Vox, and we'll come to that in a sec. Do you see pricing coming down, and that on a client by client base, that price down increase in volume? So the client says, well, I'm a little bit cheaper. It means I can download some more videos or do a little more voice or a little more data flows.
I think in data, you definitely see the demand curve, as you drop the price, mm-hmm. very elastic. You see a huge take up in demand, and that's going to continue unabated in the data world. In the voice world, it's a little bit different. I don't think people necessarily are going to make a hell of a lot more phone calls. Certainly, it's going to be cheaper, and there'll be some elasticity, but it's not really the same.
You need to phone.
Correct.
Yeah. And I mean, is it, my sense is always, I mean, your sales guys must have one of the easiest jobs in the world. You rock it up at a company and say, look, you've got the bill, we can make it smaller. I mean, is it as simple as that?
It's not as simple as that for the very reason that, I call this industry guerrilla warfare. We're arriving there, but so is everyone else.
Fair point.
And it's quite tough, and I think if you win on price, you lose on price, and you've got to find other ways to differentiate with service and other value add, and I think that's the challenge.
Mm-hmm. So it really is about, I mean, price is obviously important, but it really is about the whole package and what you get out of it and quality of service and the like, not just how many rands per megabyte or whatever.
Correct, and I think what you're seeing is, for example, with Vox, we're now offering voice and data down the same infrastructure, mm-hmm. and so you get economies of scale there for the customer. We can now interconnect with all the major operators. I mean, 2 years ago that was illegal. Mm-hmm. We've now got much lower interconnect rates to Telkom that mm-hmm. makes us more competitive with the outbound rates. We can now port numbers for the first time ever from April the 26th. I can actually go to a corporate customer and say, I'll move your 100 fixed lines from Telkom onto my network, and you can keep the same number. So I think we're going to see quite a change in the industry moving forward, particularly with portability.
Would it be fair, in a sense, and I'm a layman looking from the outside, that in terms of, as you said, number portability there, the interconnect rates coming down and the like, the Ccom cable landing, this has always been our dynamic industry, but this must be one of the most dynamic and changing periods the industry has seen and will probably see for a bit.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about it internally that, every week there's a new missile coming your way. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. Mm-hmm. And it's extremely dynamic. It's fast changing. It's a great industry to be in, but it's not without its challenges because the pricing is not always within our control. You effectively have the government and a regulator coming in and saying, we think you should charge X, which, can have a fundamental impact on business plans.
Well, that was my point. I mean, interconnect fees from a retailer, we all say good news, but from a Vox Telecom, and let's look particularly at Vox Orion, which is the bulk of Vox, internet connect fees coming down, is that a good challenge, a bad challenge? Is that something which is really going to help you, or does that make it a little more complicated for yourselves?
Yeah, look, it adds some complexity. 63% of our business is least cost routing, but we've anticipated this change. Everyone knew it was going to come.
Yeah.
And so we've been talking to our customers for some time about moving their traffic. Keep in mind, and this is a very important point, that with least cost routing, all you're targeting is the traffic going from fixed line phones to mobile phones, and you're trying to arbitrage that and give the customer a better price.
Yeah.
What we're offering the customer now is all traffic types. So when he makes a local call, a national call, an international call, and when he receives calls, if he receives them on our network, we in turn receive a termination fee from the other operators. So we're saying to the customers, let us install Crystal Vox. We'll handle all of your voice traffic, and we'll give you a very competitive deal. And if we get that right, long term, we'll have a much more sustainable business model. So we're moving as fast as we can out of the sort of narrowly focused LCR portion into the whole basket of voice services that we can offer.
So it's that broader offering. And Crystal Vox, as you said, really important. How's it going in terms of converting customers across? I know you started ahead of the curve, but still relatively early days?
It's early days, and I think the major obstacle has been the fact that we could not offer a portability of numbers. And a lot of customers said, look, come back when you can do that, because we're just not going to change all our stationery and our website, etc. Now that has actually gone live, I think we're expecting, an accelerated take-up. So the next 12 months will be critical for us, that we can really, make quite a difference in that particular part of our business.
Got you there, because a month ago you went to the client and said, I can give you this package, and your numbers change. Now you go in there and saying, I give you the package, numbers stay the same. That's a huge difference.
Massive difference. I mean, and I don't think people fully realize what a game changer that is in the industry. In my view, that can have a bigger economic impact than lowering mobile termination rates.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, actually, it's taken so long that we had mobile porting before fixed line porting. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But it's here, and that's great, and I think we need to embrace it and make it happen now.
Is there a limit? I mean, if I'm a small company with 10 lines, can you port me, or is there a number you have to get to before you can port a business?
No, it can be any number of lines, but the real test is really how much are you spending a month.
Yeah.
And if someone's spending less than 10,000 Rand a month, quite often, a sort of a corporate solution is not the answer. Then you need to make a meaningful difference, I think, in their monthly spend. So it's kind of from the sort of 20,000 Rand a month upwards range. But saying that, we have offerings for small business that can also work. But the focus is really on, the top 200 JSE companies and not just there. I mean, that's about 60% of our client base. But we have 16,000 corporate customers on our books. And, we're trying to convert as many of them as we can.
Quickly, I want to go to Atlantic, which is your sort of retail broadband offering. Small and Vox, losing customers but making more per customer. I suppose that's actually not a bad thing for business.
It's very interesting watching that space. The consumer is definitely under pressure. We churned 6,500 customers during the period, but as you said, we grew revenue, we grew profits, and we grew ARPU. So what we're trying to do is keep the customers that we've got, upsell them with other services and products, get the ARPU up, and still grow that business. It's tough. I mean, that is definitely a difficult segment to be in, and I think if you look at all of the consumer ISPs, there's been quite a lot of churn. Yeah.
And I mean, humongously competitive. And I often suspect, and I'm a consumer here, it's difficult, and we make decisions perhaps not fully based on all the information. We see a number somewhere and we jump. A very, very tough space to operate in.
Exactly. And we've noticed someone will jump for 10 Rand a month.
Yeah. No.
And then they come back to you 6 months later because they're not happy with the quality.
And it comes back to your earlier point. Fighting on price is often a losing battle. It's fighting on that service and the quality. Is that really going forward going to be Vox's focus? Is price is important, but quality of service, quality of aftercare, that is the differentiator.
definitely. You've got to put the whole package together, and you know, we run, for example, a call center 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
The whole executive team is available on escalation levels to our customers. You know, so we try and do everything we can to support the customer as far as we can. And so, if you combine that with a competitive product and innovative products as well, I think that's the answer.
Tony van Marken, CEO of Vox Telecom, thanks for your time. Great chatting.
Simon, thank you.